Hello and welcome to our second video on the immune response. My name is Branka Bernard and I hope you are ready to learn about the largest library in the universe, as described by Kurzgesagt, an amazing animated video content creator I highly recommend. Sounds interesting? When the immune system detects a harmful invader, it launches a response to get rid of it. The response can be divided into two main types: innate and adaptive. In the previous video, we briefly covered the innate system, one that we are born with, and showed both its preventive and its destructive nature. In this video, we will introduce you to the adaptive part of the immune system. Bacteria and viruses divide rapidly. When they copy their genetic material, they make mistakes. These mistakes are translated into a slightly changed entity. In fact, once bacteria or virus invade, we are not under attack from just one of their variants, but from the multitude of their versions. The problem arises when these changes render bacteria or virus even more dangerous. To respond to that, our immune system must also adapt quickly. But human adaptations are much slower than bacterial. By the time our body would manage to mutate and change the weapon, we would have been defeated. Instead, in our body, we already have an enormous variety of dormant soldiers, sleepers, ready to fight off the different attacks. For those of you who like numbers, our body has pre-prepared billions of versions of defense weapons, cells that can produce the antibody against any invader. How is this possible? The adaptive immune system carries two types of cells that are born in the bone marrow: T cells and B cells. There are two types of T cells, helper and cytotoxic. Helper T cells coordinate the immune response by releasing chemical signals that activate other immune cells, while cytotoxic T cells directly attack and destroy infected cells. B cells, on the other hand, produce and secrete antibodies. Antibodies are proteins that recognize and bind to specific foreign invaders, marking them for destruction by immune immune cells. B cells are highly specialized, with each B cell able to produce antibodies that recognize only one specific pathogen. Once activated, B cells can rapidly produce large quantities of antibodies to help neutralize and eliminate the invader. But how come there are cells that produce super-specific antibodies for a pathogen that constantly changes? How could they be ready now for what might come 50 years from now, or never come at all? Our cells find out what is in their environment through contact. Something will pinch, push, or lock something on the cell surface. On the surface of the cells, there are protein structures called receptors. They vary in structure so that they can respond only to the properly 3D structured signal. Still, how did our body design billions of different receptors? We only have around 20,000 genes. Wouldn't this information take up all of the DNA in our cells? As with many success stories, the story of development of adaptive immune system is a result of a clever use of limited resources. What do I mean by that? Well, imagine a bunch of Lego pieces in front of you. Now start mixing, shuffling, selecting some to build different 3D structures, some looking similar, some decidedly different. Well, that is exactly the genetic engineering play our adaptive immune system plays. There was no need to design 1 billion different receptors from scratch. We use and reuse pieces of genetic code in different ways, like with the Lego. So luckily, you can have this amazingly diverse immune library and still have space on your DNA to code for your nose, eyes, and ears. And how does the immune system recognize what it needs to destroy? The immune system differentiates between our own cells and foreign invaders through a complex mechanism involving major histocompatibility complex and T cell receptors. The major histocompatibility complex can be compared to a name tag that every cell wears on its surface, just as the name tag helps to identify a person and provide information about them. The markers on the surface of cells help the immune system identify whether a cell is part of the body's own tissue or is it foreign invader. T cells identify whom they meet using these mentioned receptors on the surface. First, they check whether there is any major histocompatibility complex marker that match those of our own cells. If it does, T cell will not attack because it will recognize it as self. However, if the invader is displaying foreign antigens without our matching marker, the T cell will recognize it as non-self and initiate an immune response to destroy it. This is our most powerful and most specific defense, but it takes a while to build a response strong enough to protect us. This is why the pathogens that mutate very quickly pose such a threat, and this is also why vaccination helps. Let's see how. The vaccine introduces the pathogen's antigen, the molecules on the surface that our immune cells check and touch to be able to recognize them as foreign. This contact stimulates the immune system into a targeted response, including activation and proliferation of B and T cells specific to that antigen. B cells produce antibodies that bind the antigens and neutralize them. T cells help to coordinate the immune response and eliminate the infected cells. And now comes the important part. Some of the activated B and T cells remain in the body after the initial response, providing long-term immunity against the pathogen. These activated B and T cells can differentiate in long-lived memory cells. This provides our body with a faster and stronger response to future infections and can result in less severe symptoms or even prevent the disease entirely. In conclusion, the adaptive system is an incredibly complex and sophisticated defense mechanism that enables the body to identify, target, and eliminate a wide range of foreign invaders like bacteria and viruses. Its ability to learn and adapt over time, combined with its capacity for long-term memory, makes it an essential component of overall health and well-being, and a critical tool in the fight against disease.